Well, I mean, Esther, yesterday, the UN humanitarian chief, Martin Griffiths, said that Sudan is in a civil war of the most brutal kind. He also said that today Sudan is the most difficult, it's the toughest spot in the world for humanitarian workers. So this tells you just how desperate and how challenging the situation in Sudan is. I believe that the U.S. coming together with the IGAD and the African Union is absolutely a step in the right direction. What we don't want to see is different competing diplomatic tracks. We don't want to see different competing agendas, political agendas. What we want to see is one unified, strong coalition of the international community coming together in the interest of stopping the war in Sudan.
And so why did the Burhan faction decide that they're not going to participate? What happened there?
Well, General Burhan, as we know, is the commander of the Sudanese armed forces. So he's one side of the Sudanese war. And he claims that he is upset with the fact that IGAD has equated the regular army or the Sudanese armed forces with the paramilitary, which is led by General Hemeti. He believes he's actually the sovereign leader of Sudan and in charge of the Sudanese government. So he doesn't like, being equated with Hemeti. He believes Hemeti is a rebel force and should be called a rebel force. And I mean, he's basically saying that Hemeti is favored by President Ruto of Kenya. And so that's really where the problem lies.
They feel like Ruto's taking sides here? We'll find out. But then let's talk about the what can possibly be achieved in this war by bringing, all these parties to come and discuss what's happening in Khartoum, but especially contributing a regional force to be, stationed in Khartoum.
Well, at the IGAD meeting yesterday, there was a discussion, as you've pointed out, of the possibility of bringing an East African force to Sudan. That would basically be a peacekeeping force. So that's built on the premise that you have a permanent cessation of hostilities. Now, we've often heard the African Union talk about silencing the guns. And we've heard the African Union talk about African solutions for African problems. So absolutely, I think that an East African force is an essential part of this equation. I think that it's part of a broader strategy, though. You have to end the war in Sudan first. The only way you can do that is have a clear strategy that combines a no-fly zone, expanding the arms embargo from Darfur to the entirety of Sudan, and asset freezes that ensure that the licit and illicit flows in and out of Sudan by the generals that they use to smuggle in weapons is put to an end.
Now, as a native of Sudan, you've been involved in what we can call channel diplomacy. Here in Washington, can you share with us about this channel diplomacy?
Well, yes, I've been involved in back-channel diplomacy with the U.S. government, agencies, with the State Department, USAID, different embassies here in the Washington, D.C. area. And I'm part of a group, I'm part of a team, actually, that does that. And we work on specific policy recommendations that we put forward to the U.S. government and other international bodies. And I would say that this is a privilege and a responsibility we have residing here in the United States, and it's part of being in a living, breathing democracy. And I would say that it has absolutely been effective. I think that we've seen very small incremental steps at first that were not noticeable, but here today on day 88 of the Sudan war, we can absolutely see that we've made a dent in policy.
Samah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther.
Samah Salman is a Sudanese strategic analyst and president of the U.S. educated Sudanese Association.